Ladies and gentlemen, today we address a critical and somber topic, the persecution of Christians worldwide over the past decade. This overview aims to illuminate the severity, geographic distribution, and forms of persecution faced by Christian communities globally. Here is the global overview of Christian persecution over the past 10 years. Christians have faced escalating levels of persecution in various regions, with incidents ranging from violent attacks to systemic discrimination. According to Open Doors World Watch List 2024, approximately 365 million Christians, 1 in 7 worldwide, experience high levels of persecution and discrimination for their faith. Somewhere in the world right now, a church is burning, a family is fleeing for their lives, a pastor is behind bars for preaching the gospel, and a believer is breathing their last simply because they refused to deny Christ. A pastor is arrested for participating in a birthday party, and a person is arrested for wearing Santa Claus dress and distributing chocolates. Although India is constitutionally a secular country, with freedom of religion enshrined in its constitution, 1228 Indian states have implemented anti-conversion laws. This is the reality of Christian persecution in our world today. And yet, so few are speaking about it. But today, we will tell their stories. Today, we will speak for those who have been silenced. Today, we will remember the persecuted church. 1. The cross in the fire. Christian persecution in India. India, the land of rich history, culture, and faith, but also a land where being a Christian can cost you everything. Manipur, 2023. Imagine waking up to the sound of screams. You rush outside and the air is thick with smoke. Your church, your home, your entire community, burning. This was the nightmare for thousands of Christians in Manipur last year. Over 300 churches reduced to ashes, families torn apart, believers hunted down, not because they had done anything wrong, but because they loved Jesus. Pastors in chains. Across India, pastors are arrested, beaten, and falsely accused under anti-conversion laws. They are locked behind bars simply for praying, for baptizing, for worshiping. And yet, despite it all, they refuse to stop preaching. They refuse to stop believing, because their faith is worth more than their freedom. In the last 10 years, India has seen a 6-fold rise in anti-Christian violence. In 2014, there were 127 reported incidents. By 2024, this number surged to 834. Religious extremism, anti-conversion laws, and mob violence have made India one of the top 10 most dangerous places for Christians. Notable incidents 2024. In Uttar Pradesh, 209 incidents of violence against Christians were recorded. 2023, over 300 churches were destroyed in Manipur amid ethnic and religious tensions. 2022. In Chhattisgarh, dozens of Christian families were forced to flee their villages under threats of death. 2020. Anti-conversion laws were introduced in several Indian states, leading to arrests and harassment of Christian pastors. Despite India's constitutional promise of religious freedom, thousands of Christians continue to face harassment, social boycotts, and violent attacks each year. 2. Africa, the deadliest region for Christians. In Nigeria alone, more than 3,100 Christians were killed for their faith in 2023, accounting for 80% of all Christian martyrs worldwide. Every day in Nigeria, Christians are hunted down and slaughtered. Every single day. A father's last words. A father holding his young son close whispers, "Stay strong, my child." And then, gunshots. Silence. This is not a story from centuries ago. This happened last week. Boko Haram, Fulani militants, Islamic extremists. They enter Christian villages in the middle of the night, and by sunrise, nothing is left but ashes and bodies. The forgotten widows. Who speaks for the thousands of Christian widows? The orphans? The ones left behind, watching their homes turn to dust, their families disappear into the grave. We must speak. We must act, because their blood cries out from the ground. Sub-Saharan Africa is now the most dangerous region for Christians. In Nigeria alone, more than 3,100 Christians were killed for their faith in 2023, accounting for 80% of all Christian martyrs worldwide. Key incidents: Boko Haram and Fulani militants have massacred thousands in Nigeria. Somalia and Sudan have seen brutal executions of Christians under Islamic extremism. Mozambique, churches were burned and believers beheaded by ISIS-affiliated groups. These attacks are systematic, targeting Christian villages, churches, and even school children. The aim? To wipe out Christianity from the region. 3. The Middle East, Christianity's ancient home under siege. The Middle East, where Christianity began, where the early church flourished, where apostles walked. But now, it is a graveyard of faith. Once the birthplace of Christianity, the Middle East is now one of the most hostile places for believers. Persecution has driven millions of Christians out of countries like Iraq, Syria, and Iran. In Syria, it was in the year 2015, Christians along the Kabur River heard the distant roar of approaching vehicles. And then the horror began. Men lined up, executed. Women and children taken as hostages. Churches destroyed. A 2,000-year-old Christian presence wiped out overnight. And the world? The world just looked away. In the Middle East, countries like Syria and Iraq have witnessed severe persecution. Shocking events: 2015, Syria and Iraq. ISIS slaughtered Christians, destroying 30-plus churches. 2024, Iraq. An axe attack on Assyrian Christians left 3 injured. Iran. Dozens of house church leaders were arrested in the past year alone. The Christian population in Iraq has plummeted from 1.5 million in 2003 to just 250,000 today. A faith that has existed here for 2,000 years is on the brink of extinction. 4. Asia. Persecution under authoritarian regimes. Asia is home to some of the world's most oppressive regimes, where Christianity is either outlawed or heavily restricted. North Korea, where owning a Bible can get you killed. In North Korea, there are no public churches, no open worship, no Christian gatherings, because in this country, simply owning a Bible can get you killed. Christians whisper their prayers in the dead of night. Parents tell their children about Jesus, but only in secret, knowing that if they are caught, the whole family disappears forever. Yet they will not stop believing, even if it costs them everything. To China. China has shut down thousands of churches, arrested pastors, and forced believers to worship under government surveillance. Pakistan. Pakistan's blasphemy laws are often used to target Christians. Asia Bibi, a Christian mother, spent 10 years on death row before her acquittal. Finally, look what is happening in Latin America. Churches under attack. 5. Latin America, Christian persecution is on the rise, especially from criminal cartels and communist governments. Mexico. Christian pastors who speak out against drug cartels are kidnapped or murdered. Nicaragua. The government has shut down Catholic churches and expelled Christian leaders. Latin American Christians are facing growing threats, not from religious extremists, but from criminals and authoritarian regimes. My dear brothers and sisters, the situation is dire, but we are not powerless. Here's how we can make a difference. Speak up. Share their stories. Support. Organizations like Open Doors and Voice of the Martyrs are working to protect persecuted Christians. Pray. The persecuted church needs our prayers more than ever. Christian persecution is not just a story from the past. It is happening right now. And one day, we will all stand before God and answer for what we did, or what we failed to do. Will you stand with them, or will you look away? Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to help spread the truth.